Okay, so in the last video, we looked at how to use a potentiometer just to read in the value. This video, we're going to go through reading in the value, but then using that to affect different LEDs that we have plugged in. So in this case, again, we've got our same setup as we had before with the potentiometer, our ground 3 volts, and our input value coming back to the pi. But this time we're going to add in these 3 wires here. We're going to connect those to pins 14, 15, and 16, and those correspond to GPIO 10, 11, and 12. So we're going to connect those wires to the positive side of the LEDs. Make sure they go to the positive side, which again, that's the long lead of the LED. And then we have our 220 ohm resistors coming out of the negative side and going to the ground rail. So that's what we have going on here. I know it's a little bit messy with these leads here, but each one of these goes back to these 3 pins that we were talking about. All right, so the code now that we need to drive these is kind of similar. So previously we had this pot read code where we just have our pot pin, which is GP28, but the A2 version, the analog version. And we loop through while true, we grab the value, we flatten it to a 0 to 3.3 volt value, and then we print the input value from the potentiometer and what that is converted to voltage-wise. All right, we're going to do something a little more with this video, where we're going to set up we need to also include or import the digital I/O module. And then we're going to do what we had been doing with the like the 4-bit calculator, where we set up a digital I/O, digital in-out object based on those pins, 10, 11, and 12. And we have to set the direction to output for each one of those. So make sure you grab each one of those and set the correct output. And then we're going to grab we've got our while true function. We're going to grab our value. In this case, just to make the code a little bit easier for us to manage, we're going to flatten this to a 0 to 100 value, not a 0 to 3.3 like we did before. Here's a print statement. You can leave this one in or uncomment this one if you want to see the values get printed out. And then we're going to start to modify the pin values. In class, we talked about what happens if this code is commented out, this line. But this line of code sets all 3 pins, the green pin, the yellow pin, and the red pin, all to 0. So it resets each one of them. And then if the value from the potentiometer is less than 80, we're going to turn on the green pin. Else, if the value is less than 95, we'll turn on the yellow pin. Otherwise, or else, turn on the red pin. So if it's less than 80, then it'll show green. If we get above 80 but less than 95, it'll show yellow. And then if we get above 95, it'll show red. And then we sleep for a little bit. So when we run that code, we get this where as we start to turn the knob up, it's green now. And then we'll get to yellow. And if we go a little bit more, it turns on to red. And then back down again, turns back to yellow, and turns back to green. And again, you can kind of play around with these values. So like experiment with changing these if statements. Maybe you want the green one to always be on, and then the yellow one to be on. And then if the red one turns on, all 3 of these are on. The way that you would do that is if the value is less than 80, right, then turn the green one on. If the value, we take out the else part and then say if the value is less than 95, turn on the, or I'm sorry, We want to make that greater than 80. And we can do and value is less than 95. Then our yellow pin is going to turn on. And then in this case, we'd say if value is greater than 95, then turn on the red. We save that. We've got our green, only green on. Turn it up a little bit more. And, oh, right. Yeah, wait, why didn't that work? So if our value is less than 80, okay, let's turn on our print statement. Okay, so right now we've got, it's 90. Oh, so if we always want the green one would always be on then. So let's save that. So now we've got green is always on, but if we go below 80, then the yellow one turned off. If we go above 80, green turns on. And then if we go up to red, so here we just say if, oh yeah, if val is less than 95, turn on the yellow one. There we go. Let's try that. So let's, oh no. If value, so see, here's where if statements can be somewhat confusing. If the value is, now we want to do greater than or equal to 90. Let's see, yeah, we want that one to greater than or equal to 80. There we go, and greater than or equal to 95. There we go. Okay, that should work. So now if I go below 80, the green one is on. If we go above 80, the yellow one turns on. And if we go above 95, there we go. Now they're all three on. So there we go. Took a second to get the if statement working. There you go. We turn it back down again. The green one always stays on. So there's there's some different ways to do that. Put this back. Yep. Okay. So if we save that, now just one of them are going to turn on. So see if you can play around with that code and maybe even do it faster than I did. But that's how you can use the if statements and set the pins on and off depending on the value coming in from the potentiometer.